The Guyanese Critic is coming to you from Suddy on the ESSEQUIBO coast, and yeah, the Vice President is just about to arrive, and hundreds of people waiting at this one location. This is just one of the locations he will be going to deliver on promises made in relation to jobs for Guyanese citizens. So yeah, right here, this is one of the government's facility in this area, and just at the back of this building there are many hundreds of people who are very much in need of jobs, that are waiting for the Vice President to come and, again, as promised, give jobs. It so happened 2,000 jobs are to be created on the ESSEQUIBO coast. Today they have 2,502 persons already signed up. And as you guys know, my interest is what Guyanese are getting from their government. So as you guys know, Guyana is an oil producing country, and we're moving at a fast rate. Likewise, government officials have to be moving at a fast rate. So Vice President JAGDEO will be addressing persons who he recently promised jobs. And he's not only promised jobs, he has delivered, and now will be making sure that the people know he has delivered. He has come to let them know his care And this is one of the methods of holding government officials accountable.
How y'all doing? All right? Good morning.
So one of the hallmarks of accountability and good governance is transparency, and you see that in the new methods being used by this government. And when we say transparency, the main fact that I am here and afforded the opportunity to see firsthand what the government is doing when they're doing it, not only promising but delivering on those promises. And we should stop considering these to be promises in light of the fact that this government campaigned to give and help the people.
For Vice President, a warm welcome. You know, this is an initiative of the Vice President himself, and he was here about just over a month ago and launched this program in Region 2. So in this region, as I indicated to you, 2,502 persons had applied, and we had to whittle that number down to 2,000 because actually Vice President had committed originally 800, but he will tell you how we ended up at 2,000. But nevertheless, without much ado, I'd like to invite the Vice President to address you right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me say how much we appreciate you being here today. I'm not going to keep you for very long because you have to, most of you here would have to go through the process of signing the contracts so that you can start from next month, start working. Now, I came here a month ago and I spoke extensively to a number of people talking about the challenges that we faced with in Guyana and the past 2 years with the pandemic and emerging out of a situation where we had to fight to maintain our freedom because there was a huge threat against democratic order in this country. And had we not won that fight, there would have been a major setback for Guyana because development is strongly correlated to freedom. And if we don't live in a free country, then we'd never be able to realize the full potential of this land. And so many people were part of that process of ensuring that our democracy prevailed. But we made quite a few promises before the elections. We said, if you look at our manifesto, you would see what those are. And I'm not going to go through the entire list today, but I want to say to you that we have been busy implementing what we promised. Because if you look at the history of our party, in all the periods it has been in government, we have faithfully stuck to the manifesto or program that we have gone to the electorate with. And so far, we've almost accomplished in just under 2 years of being in government, almost 90% of those promises. You'll recall that we said we will remove all of the taxes that APNU had put on food and on VAT on water and electricity, on pesticides, on fertilizer, on a whole range of other products. We've done so. We said we'd restore the children's grant, and we have done so because it was 10,000, was taken away. This year it's 25,000, and we said within 5 years, in the 5 years period, every school child will get $50,000 per year from the government. And we are on the way to accomplishing that. The school uniform grant was $2,000, now it's gone to $5,000. We promised to double old age pension in the 5 years, and we've increased it by 40% so far. Promised to restore the joint services bonus, which we did. And we're busy working now. We said we're going to do 50,000 jobs. That was our aim. Now, you would recall that in the period before the pandemic, because of the taxation policy of the last government, we lost in almost every sector, in mining, in the forestry sector, in the sugar industry. Many people were laid off. And so we lost about 35,000 jobs before the COVID pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit and the country was shut down, we lost another maybe 40,000 jobs. So we started in government with a deficit about 80,000 jobs. And this is why we took the step, unlike many other countries that had shut down totally. We said we're going to try to address the pandemic and still keep the country open. Had we not done that, then we would have been in a worse situation today. And as you know, that in spite of us keeping that dual policy of keeping the country open and building the capacity to tackle the pandemic aggressively through vaccinations and building capacity for testing, etc., that we've emerged better than many countries, including many developed countries that had all the vaccines in the world. If you measure it by on a per capita basis, by the deaths, etc. So, because we took that approach, we managed to get the economy going again, even though it was very difficult in the 2 years, because we could never have had a gathering like this one here to bring people together in the last 2 years. But now that we have done that, we have to start. We've started working on all the big initiatives for the country, the transformative initiatives to generate the jobs of the future. And I don't want to go back through all the things that I've said to the other meetings, but here on the ESSEQUIBO coast, it's very difficult to get job creation because most of the investors, they prefer to go to regions 3 and 4. They have a larger population, closer proximity to markets. They can easily export whatever they produce from the port in Georgetown. So because ESSEQUIBO is predominantly agriculture, it's very hard to generate employment here. So we are starting to, in the budget, there are several initiatives this year. And some of the initiatives are to make ESSEQUIBO more attractive to investors. For example, we will co-invest in factories here. Right now, we're looking at about 2 or 3 call centers that can employ close to 1,000 people on the coast. And so the government would build the factory shells and train the people, and then the investors would just operate this. And this is just the beginning to generate more jobs on the coast, and not just ESSEQUIBO coast, but the same thing in Region 10, Linden, in Berbice, in Region 5. These are regions we have had a harder time getting employment in. The hinterland regions to 1, 7, 8, and 9. So we have special initiatives. I'm not going to talk about all of them today here. And so that is why I came here a month ago and I said we had set aside enough money to do about 8,000 part-time jobs across the country, because we believe that if people have a part-time job, it can help them as they're either if they're studying, or alternately if they are working elsewhere. Maybe through some private venture not in government, because we don't want people to have two government jobs. So we launched this program and we said we'll have 800 for ESSEQUIBO. So when Nigel and the others came back, they said we had 2,500 applications for ESSEQUIBO, and that's when I decided we will increase it to 2,000. So this region, probably, although it's smaller in number than say Berbice, will probably have a large number of part-time workers. And so about 2,000 people. Now the aim is, as I said before, to get one person from a household at least, so we can first of all get maybe every household where the people are unemployed, at least one person having a part-time job. So I hope that you would help us in this regard, that not 5 persons in a single home will get this. Later we'll find employment for other people as the other ventures start kicking in, and many of you may want to transition out of the part-time job into higher paying, more full-time job. So this is important. Today, 1 month later, we're back to make sure that from next week you can actually start working. Now, we expect people to actually work too. If you're getting 40,000 a month for 10 days work, then we expect you to work, regardless of where you're placed, because people are placed in different facilities, so you're not going to be cutting grass. I know some people will be doing that, but others are doing hopefully useful work for the community. And it's a community spirit that we want to build also, because many of you will be working for the government in ensuring that you see improvement in services in your community. So I expect you to have that attitude too, to help. Wherever you're working, you're there to help people and to do work. It's not just like free money, because sometimes people think they can just collect this and they're not sure. This, you'll be monitored for this, so you have to show up to work at least the 10 days a month. So I want to make that very clear. In addition to that, when I was here, I said to the people across ESSEQUIBO, but I've been traveling across the other regions too. And so we want our people to study the scholarship program. So as many of you who want to study at a tertiary level, that is either a first degree or a second degree, or maybe even a doctorate if you already have a second degree, or at a technical level, we are prepared to pay for the scholarships, online scholarships, so that any amount of people who want to study. So we are hoping that whilst you're working here, you would also take up the opportunity to upgrade yourselves. If you have not, even if you have not completed school, we've just launched a program. It's a remedial program, a GED program, so you can spend a short period, and after that, going through that period, 3 to 6 months, then that would allow you to enter into a technical level program, or in some cases, even a university program. So I hope that every single person that you can find who wants to study, we are prepared to work with you to ensure that you're part of a program. It will be mainly through online means, and that is why we're looking to improve the quality of the internet on the coast, because we need broadband internet. We're extremely pleased that eNetworks have put in fiber now on the coast, and so we'll be working to improve that. And at some point in time, we still have to work on this initiative, but we may be able to assist people who get onto these programs, those who can't afford like a laptop or something, a tablet. We'll be able to assist with that and possibly even connectivity. So I want you not to just, because I see a lot of young people here, and that's pleasing. A lot of young people are here. I was expecting more of the older folks to come onto this program, but it's good that a lot of young people have applied for the program. But you can't be stuck in this. You have to ensure that you use this as a small income every month, but you have a bigger goal to achieve. And we are there to work with you in a very interactive manner. I can send down the people, and this is Vilma. What we need to do is to meet with smaller groups constantly to ensure that we are, like, you should come back and hold another meeting here and find out from all those who would be working, all 2,000 persons, those who want to study now. So we move on to the next stage once we get people starting to work. Then we can work with you to ensure that you can study. So we, as I said before, the government will pay for the scholarship. This is very important for us. As I pointed out the last time I was here, that the economy of the future would require people to function at a higher level. It means more of our people have to have technical and tertiary education. They can get really high-paying jobs, but they have to be prepared for the jobs. Like if we, for example, a welder now, a certified welder, can earn $2,500 US a month. And it will take them probably less than a year to become a certified welder. So in the oil and gas industry. And there's a huge shortage of welders. In Region 4 and the other places, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, these skills are very, very scarce. There are huge shortages right here in the country. Unfortunately, it is geographic based because you're in ESSEQUIBO, so the opportunities are less here. But in Region 4 and 3, that is what was happening. And the same thing, a part of Tree Tool. Yesterday afternoon, I met with about maybe nearly 1,500 sugar workers and others from the community at IFLOT. And we are helping the sugar workers we want them to be trained to transition into new industries that would create the wealth of the future. So I hope that you will make full use of these opportunities that are available. As I said before, I'm not going to make a speech today because I have to go to the other places. There are how many? Four, because 2,000 people we didn't want to bring everyone in one location. And and you have a long day ahead signing up these documents and stuff like that. But I just wanted to ensure, because many people were skeptical that this initiative would come true. I've heard a lot of skepticism a month ago, including in Region 10 when I was there, and we promised to get people employed. They said it would never happen. APNU controls that region. They don't control this one. And we're actually rolling it out today, 1 month later. There are other facilities you can get help from, but let's start with small steps. And so I hope that you would, all the arrangements are in place here for people to sign up, and then they can go back, the contracts, everything. So that's all I'm going to say today. I'm going to rush on, and then I have to do this tomorrow. I have to meet the rice farmers and the others, because when I was here, we promised them to help with fertilizer. So we want to be set aside a sum of money to assist with fertilizer. The price globally has escalated because of the pandemic. Now, the supply chain has been disrupted. So many factories in many different parts of the world have just been shuttered. They're shut down. Like in China, they've shut down Shanghai and even like Guangdong province and all of the other Shenzhen were shut down. And these are the places that supply most of the construction material, etc. In the United States of America, if you look at the news in the last 2 days, they have a shortage of baby formula. So President Biden had to use the army to fly baby formula from Europe into the United States of America because they have shortages there of food too. And so this is what has happened. Luckily, we produce most of what we consume. And so we still have supplies, but many countries, even though they have resources, they can't find supplies of food. So India banned the export of wheat. Malaysia banned the export of cooking oil. Last night, India banned the export of sugar. They're keeping everything for domestic demand now. So this has disrupted world trade. And what has happened as a consequence? Prices have gone up. So the cost of living has gone up because you can't find supplies. And now with the war in Ukraine, that has pushed up the price of gas and oil. And you know, once that goes up, it feeds into everything, including fertilizer, which is made from gas. So the price of fertilizer has gone up for the farmers. So we are living in still a difficult period. Although we are emerging out of the COVID pandemic, the consequences of the pandemic are still very much alive with us now. And it will take a while for us to work through all of these consequences to get prices down back to a reasonable level for many of the commodities. Now we're very worried about the price of wheat. You know, Russia and Ukraine produces about 1/3 of the global supply of wheat, and they've had even further disruptions now. So we are shuddering to think what could happen to the price of flour and bread and all of these things, because we simply can't get it, or when we get it, the prices are too high. So a lot of those things we'd have to work through to see how we can assist people. We made it clear we are now subsidizing electricity and water, because with higher fuel costs, the cost for generating power and water has gone up, but the government has decided to keep that constant because we're subsidizing that. And we're working towards some other facilities that will bring the cost of power down. Before the end of the year, we are hoping that in the ESSEQUIBO coast, you would have about 8 maybe to 10 megawatts of solar power. We're introducing solar power here in Linden and Berbice. We're working now on a gas power plant to come in to generate power that will see the cost of power cut by 50% by 2024. And then the same pipeline would bring in gas that would be dried, and the liquids that's what you use, the cooking gas. So in about 2-3 years' time, Guyana will be producing its own cooking gas. We don't have to import all of this. So there are lots of things happening at the national level and in our planning process. But today, as I said before, it's not the time for that. Maybe some other time we can have that discussion. Maybe when people are settled, 6 months from now, I'll come back here and talk to you about all of those issues. So just because I want you to really start and don't keep people too late. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
All right, well,